It's another day, left jab, right jab, this is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim, looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting, if you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go, I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show, this the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? It feels like it's been a while here. Checking in for UFC ABC 2 / UFC Vegas 23. Marvin Vettori takes on Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland stepping in after Dern was not able to make the fight here. So we got a newly added main event bout here. Other than that, we got a lot of fights to talk about on this card, and that's part of the reason why I was pushing off this breakdown for a little bit. I thought we would see some changes and whatnot, but it's actually been pretty stable as of recently. So we got a bunch of fights to talk about. Obviously, the last fight that took place was UFC 260. If we're talking UFC fights, we had a nice Bellator card. And before I even get into my quick recap of UFC 260, how about Demetrius Johnson getting finished by Moraes over there in 1FC. It was a nasty finish. Moraes hit him with the knee right to the chin after stuffing a couple of takedowns. This just happened. I'm filming this Thursday night over here, so it was pretty cool to see that, in my opinion. Demetrius Johnson being one of the best pound-for-pound fighters to ever do it. A guy that's been untouchable for a long time. To see him get finished like that was pretty surreal. Who else? Eddie Alvarez loses on the card there too. So if you guys are checking out that 1FC, we've had some interesting fights there. UFC 260, I'll talk about it real quick. It was a very good night betting wise for the teller here. It went 5 for 6 on the night, and we hit up that Omar Morales play. We had the Michelle Oliasechak play. These were straight plays separately. We had Miranda Maverick straight up. We had a parlay of Sean O'Malley and Vincent Luque. I like both those guys a lot there. And then I did have a play in Stipe Miocic. Took a stab on, the greatest heavyweight, fighting a guy that he already took out. No shame in that loss. And also I want to say, big shout out to Francis Ngannou, the newly crowned heavyweight champion of the world. You guys know I'm a big fan of Francis's as well, even though obviously I was rooting for Stipe. Stipe being one of my favorite fighters in the game, but I'm starting to really like Francis, and he's growing on me. So if there was a guy to take out Stipe, who better than Francis Ngannou? Gotta love his story. Shout out to Francis. And a quick little recap of UFC 260. And like I said, we got a lot of fights to talk about. So with no further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so we hit up the first fight of the card. Now remember, this is an early afternoon card, so this fight right here should be kicking off right around 12 p.m. Eastern, right there early in the afternoon, late morning, early afternoon. And in the first fight, we got Sasha Palatnikov taking on Impa Kasanganay. Of course, Impa is coming off that nasty, knockout loss to Joaquin Buckley. That was one of the nastiest knockouts we've seen. So, you got to wonder how the brain's feeling. But other than that, I got to say, I've been high on Impa. Even going into that fight, I feel like Impa is a guy that I've always said has a very, very durable chin. He continues to press forward. Yes, he did get knocked out there, but if you look at his career as a whole, he does have a very solid chin, puts a very tough pace on his opponents. That shot that he was hit with, almost any fighter's going out to that, so, let's make that clear. We'll see how he bounces back here, though. And quite honestly, I think the line is a little off here. Sasha Palatnikov is a guy, excuse me here, Sasha Palatnikov is a guy I've had the pleasure to speak with, a guy that really looked good in his UFC debut. This is a guy that I had the pleasure, like I said, to speak with, so I really got to know him a little bit on a personal level and see how serious he takes the game and how long he's been training martial arts. This guy's a nasty striker. He's a very well-rounded fighter. He's extremely confident, and I know damn well he's going out there expecting to take Impa out, and I'm actually going to take Sasha Palatnikov here. And that's not just because, that's not just because I had him on the show and it's like, okay, you know, this guy gave me his time and this and that, I'm rooting for him. Nah, I got Sasha here. I think Sasha is the more skilled fighter. I think the line is off. And Impa's a big boy. Like I said, he pushes the pace. Sasha showed, you know, in his UFC debut where he took out Luis Cosi, who a lot of people were very high on. You know, he showed that his gas tank is very, very good. He was looking good in the later rounds, and that's actually why he took that fight. You know, it was a back and forth barn burner, but he was the more fresher fighter in the later rounds. I think that he can handle his pace, and you know, as Impa tries to close the distance, get some takedowns and whatnot. You know, Impa's a little bit more slow with his strikes as well, a little bit more laboring. I think Sasha will be quicker there. Sasha 32, you know, maybe a little bit. I mean, really only a 1-inch reach disadvantage. He's actually the taller guy, a little bit more lean. Impa's a little bit more stocky of a fighter. But, you know, I'm on Sasha here. I like Sasha to win this fight, and I'm really rooting for him. He's an awesome dude. We talked about betting on MMA. I mean, this guy's really an awesome dude. Like I said, you can catch that over on YouTube here. You can catch it here, or you can catch it on Instagram, which we will be getting some more interviews going very soon. I got some cool guests lined up, so that will be coming at you guys very soon as well. And and real quick, you know, we take a look at the line. Like I said, the line's off. Let me touch upon what the line is. Obviously, you guys see it below, but you know, Sasha is right around a plus 245 dog. A little bit surprised to see that, quite honestly, with Impa coming off that knockout loss there. So that's where the line is as well. Both those guys don't have a lot of professional experience at the same time, but like I said, Sasha's a guy been playing sports his whole life, and he's been training martial arts for a long time. So don't let the record fool you. He was over there in the Asian scene, and he's a guy that feels that the Asian scene is very serious with the striking and whatnot. They feel like they're a little bit more polished up over there. You know, we'll see how that fight takes place. Speaking of, you know, Asian strikers, Da Un Jong, a very talented boxer, Asian boxer. He has good hands. He's a good striker. He's taken on William Knight. William Knight is a guy that's really impressed me with the limited amount of MMA experience that he has and how late he got into the game. With his size and stature, the way that he pushes a pace and has pretty good cardio for his stature. Honestly, you know, I thought this was a guy that would have problems with his cardio, but continues to push in the later rounds and shows he has a really good heart. He has power, you know, and you know, he's the type of guy you can take his back. You know, he'll baseball grip your wrist, he'll rip you over, and he'll start smashing you. He'll finish you all of a sudden after, you know, you almost had him. He'll finish you in the end of the third round. And if you guys know, I'm referring to that fight over there on Dana White's Contender Series where he took out Cody Brundage. You know, an excellent fight. Took him out there in the third round. Bounced back with another victory in his UFC debut against Alexa Kamer, a guy that you know, I'm pretty high on. A guy that trains with Stipe. He's a talented fighter. Now he's taking on Da Un Jong. Da Un Jong, like I said, this guy is a talented striker. Loves to pump the jab. Has some good boxing. He's going to have a pretty hefty reach advantage here. He's going to have about a 5.5-inch reach advantage. He's, you know, the taller fighter. But you know what? I'm going to take William Knight here, the Nightmare. You know, I'm going to take him here. Like I said, this guy is a crazy, has a crazy heart and when he's fighting in there. He doesn't give up. This is a guy that I feel we're going to see progress in front of our eyes. Like I said, got in the game late. Da Un Jong is a fighter. You know, we kind of have an understanding of what he's about. He's a talented fighter. But I like William Knight here. If you watch William Knight over on Instagram, I mean, this guy is in phenomenal shape. He's grinding it out like crazy. He's a very powerful and strong guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a hold of Jong and maybe got this fight down to the mat at some point in time. But, you know, the striking's coming around as well, and I like him there. And as far as the line goes, he is a slight dog, plus 115. The line is pretty close. And Da Un Jong is a big fella. And like I said, he has some solid hands. If Da Un Jong is going to pull this fight off, he keeps the fight standing, uses some nice calf kicks, some nice leg kicks, and pumps his jab and uses his boxing to pull off the victory there. Maybe pulls off the decision. William Knight's a pretty tough dude to finish. And but I'm taking William Knight. I like William Knight there. All right, in the next fight, we got Luis Saldana taking on Jordan Griffin. By the way, you know, this fight card is filled with guys I've had the pleasure to speak with. Jordan Griffin, another one. This is like an MMA live discussion card here. Jordan Griffin, a very, very cool dude. A very regular, down-to-earth type of guy. When we spoke with him, he was working at T-Mobile, and he was up in the back, you know, chatting it up with us. This is a guy I'm a big fan of. I'm really pulling for him here. Although you guys know how I do it, and I don't want to give you guys, a false prediction based off, liking one fighter better than the other. Luis Saldana is a guy that looked very good on Dana White's Contender Series in his last fight. Got the finish there in the third round. I believe it was in the third round. Hit that dude with a nasty front kick, finished it up with some ground and pound. This guy's striking looked very, very crisp. I liked the pop that he had on his striking even in the later rounds. And, Jordan Griffin, on the other hand, is a scrappy dude. Has been training with the best of them for a long time. He has a lot of experience here. Might have a little bit of the experience edge there, but, can pull off some funky submissions. But, he's coming off a tough fight where Yusuff Zalal, kind of handled business against him, and Yusuff Zalal hasn't been looking that good as of recently. I kind of feel like Luis Saldana is more on the up and up right here. But Jordan Griffin has his back up against the cage. If he loses this fight, he's going to be in a tough situation. So I know he's very motivated. He'll have a 1.5-inch reach advantage. I'm really pulling for Griffin, but my gut tells me Saldana is going to be a little bit more crisp in this fight, and he's probably going to take it, if I'm being quite honest with you guys. But I'm rooting for Griffin. It's a close fight, but I got Luis Saldana there. All right, sliding right through, man. We got a lot of fights to break down, so I won't talk too much. I don't want to bore you guys with all the small details here, but you guys, you'll catch the gist of the route I'm going with these fights. Jack Shore taking on Hunter Azure. Jack Shore is an undefeated fighter who's really shown to have some nice grappling skills. He's been going in there, pulling off finishes left and right on the mat. The striking's coming around as well. And, a fighter coming out of Wales, we've seen a couple guys coming out of these neck of the woods that are very skilled, man. And they're working on the grappling over there. These guys really show up. 26 years old. Gotta like the nickname Tank. Hunter Azure is a guy that has a lot of wrestling experience. This guy was a collegiate wrestler, very decorated there. I believe he might have wrestled at ASU or in Arizona. But this is a guy, he's a Native American. He fights off the tribe, or however you want to say that, fights off the land over there. And, I like him. I'm a fan of him as well. I remember watching him on Dana White's Contender Series. He's a tough dude. But coming off, actually, so he is coming off a win. He took out Cole Smith. Cole Smith, all right, not the biggest feather in your cap there, but, it's kind of hard to forget that knockout loss to Brian Kelleher, where you kind of saw some holes in his striking game and his striking defense. And, that was a fight. It was not a good performance by him. Like I said, did bounce back with the victory, but, now he's fighting a guy that's really polished up and is really shown to have a lot of promise in Jack Shore. I'm taking Jack Shore here. I think he's very crafty with the grappling. If it goes down there, if Azure is going to try to muscle, a single leg or a double leg, Shore is going to be all around his neck and looking for all type of reversals. And on the feet, I think that, like I said, I think his striking's coming around. His overall game's coming around. He's an overall mixed martial artist, whereas Azure, to me, is a little bit more of a strong wrestler that's been trying to clean up his game. But, I'm all over Shore here. I like Shore to win this fight. And take a look at the live line here. We got, Jack Shore is right around a -155 to a -165 right now. And, Hunter Azure bouncing back with the +135. I like Jack Shore there. It's a guy that I want to keep an eye on as well. Keep an eye on Jack Shore moving forward. Kid that shows to have a lot of talent and a lot of potential. In the next fight, we got Yorgan de Castro taking on Jarjis Danho. This guy Danho, he hasn't fought in forever. He's making his return back to the mixed martial arts game, coming off a draw against Christian Colombo. Christian Colombo, if you guys remember him back in the day, a guy that was a little softer on the midsection, a guy that probably wasn't UFC caliber, but was able to hang around for a little bit. Got finished a couple times. Lost to Daniel how do you say this name again? Omelazenchek. That was the fighter, if you guys remember him. Trust me, man, even though I'm rusty with these names at times, I'm very, very well versed with these guys. Daniel was the guy that was all tatted up. I believe he was from Poland. I believe he was the Polish fighter. But a stocky bowling ball type of heavyweight fighter there. And, a guy that, used to be around the block back in the day. So lost to him. That's not a good sign, in my opinion. I was never too high on Daniel. Omelazenchek. And before that he had some things going for him. But so this guy Danho, he's a type of guy, he's a very tough dude, likes to use the grappling, likes to get on top, likes to drop bows with the ground and pound. But like I said, coming off a long layoff, a lot of question marks around him, man. 4.5 years ago was the last time he stepped in there. Yorgan de Castro is a guy that, coming off Dana White's Contender Series, he stopped the fighter with calf kicks. This guy has some nasty calf kicks. But things have not been going his way as of recently. Lost to Greg Hardy there. Bounced back with a Carlos Felipe loss where he got styled on all day in that fight, if you guys remember. Minus 300. I mean, there's a lot of question marks in this fight. That's okay. Minus 300. A little surprised to see that. Danho's a big boy, 6'3". He's gonna have a 1.5-inch reach. If Danho can use the grappling and maybe have better cardio, he takes this fight. I don't really know. What kind of shape and how he's going to look. What's he been doing all this time with the layoff? A lot of question marks here. But, being that he's had such a long layoff, I got to edge Yorgan de Castro to win the fight. But as far as the minus 300 range, I'm not sure if I'm really crazy about that, to be honest. This was a big victory for Yorgan here where he did, hit that counter hook knockout as the boy from down under was charging in. Yeah, I'll take Yorgan to win the fight, but like I said, be a little bit careful. Let's keep a close eye, as he makes his return back to the UFC. Let's keep a close eye to see what kind of shape he's looking like he's in, and see if he can get that grappling going. Maybe the dog shows up. As far as my official pick too, stick with me on Instagram. I want to see how things progress. I want to see him at the weigh-in. I want to see a little bit more details on this fight here. All right. We got John the Bull Makdessi taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. Ignacio, man, this is a kid that I've been very excited to see step back in the cage. Since fighting on Dana White's Contender Series, this was one of the kids that really stole the show. If you guys remember, had that finish against Edson Gomez. The Ignacio is a guy, or a kid, I should say a kid, right? 23 years old. He's been training martial arts since he was born, man. His dad was a striker. His dad was a martial artist, mostly with the striking and whatnot. And he's been training, Ignacio since he was born. We saw on the show, they talked all about it. And, he delivered on that show, and you see a world of potential with this guy, Ignacio. John Makdessi, 35 years old. You think of the highs with John Makdessi. You can remember some of maybe a spinning back fist knockout that he had. Who was that against, that spinning knockout, spinning back fist? That was back in the day. Gotta pull that up real quick. Spinning back fist against Kyle Watson. Those were the peaks in his career. Some of the valleys, getting submitted by Dennis Hallman. Hopefully Hallman wasn't wearing the Speedo in there. In some of those bigger fights, man, he would drop the ball. Lost to Lando Venata with that nasty wheel kick, if you remember that. So speaking of, flashy finishes, was on the losing end there. That was probably the low of his career there. And then strung off a couple victories. Makdessi, always a tough dude, more of a striking-based fighter, very well-rounded, very polished fighter, as far as, knowing the ins and outs of the game. Coming into this fight with a hefty reach disadvantage. He's much shorter. Ignacio, like I said, this is the new type of breed of fighter, training since he was born. I'm on Ignacio here. I think Ignacio shows up, takes this fight. As far as the live line right now, let's see, right around minus 190 still. And this is the guy that you want to keep an eye on moving forward. If he works that takedown defense and the grappling, which, what a coincidence. Look at the guy he's brushing shoulders with. the best mixed martial arts grappler. That's the path you want to go. Get Khabib to corner him and train him up. This kid is a nasty fighter. So yes, I am on Ignacio here. This may be the last time we see Makdessi. I don't know how much longer he's trying to hang around in the fight game. But yeah. All right, in the next fight, we move over to the bantamweight division. We got Norma Dumont taking on Erin Blanchfield. Erin Blanchfield making her UFC debut, fighting over there in Invicta. This is a girl that, a lot of people talk about her grappling skills. This is a girl that has some good BJJ skills. Although, if you want to see a nasty knockout, pull up the Victoria Leonardo fight where she hit her with a nasty head kick as she was rolling out, stepping out to the side. Man, she timed that perfectly. So this is a girl that's caught my attention to an extent. You know, her one loss was against Tracy Cortez. Tracy Cortez is a polished, or I shouldn't say polished. She's a solid fighter that's well-rounded and a girl to keep an eye on. Norma Dumont looked spectacular against Ashley Evans-Smith. Looked absolutely spectacular in that fight. Looked so well-rounded and was just handling business. You know, really caught my eye on that fight. Striking was nasty. Anything she did in that fight was just working for her. So, you know, like I said, this girl caught my eye. You know, everything that Blanchfield is bringing to the table, like I said, you know, there's some potential there. It's not going to be enough for me to take her in this fight. I'm all over Norma. I like Norma. We take a look at the live line. Norma Dumont right around a -245. I know Norma has some ground skills, even though her striking is nasty. I know she has some ground skills, so I'm not necessarily too worried about the ground game. If Blanchfield is going to exploit her there, I think that Dumont should be in control of this fight, and it's a fight that I'm very interested in as far as you know, the female fight over in the bantamweight division. It's a cool fight here, and you know, lines at -245. But yeah, I'm on Dumont. I think Dumont wins that fight. Oh, and real quick too, just to see how these girls size up. Blanchfield has a nice little reach advantage for her frame at 5'4", so she will have a 1-inch reach advantage, even though she's at a 3-inch height disadvantage. All right, we got Scott Holtzman. A tough dude right there, taking on Mateusz Gamrot, the Polish fighter who's been putting in work over at American Top Team. You know, the ex-KSW champion, a guy that has some real grappling skills. This guy's a nasty grappler. If you're not ready to stuff a takedown, man, he will maul you. He'll take you down. He'll smash you up there. You know, he was undefeated going into that last fight. You know, 17-0. That was a fight that some people thought that he won. It was a split decision loss for him there against Guram Katsidezi, the Georgian fighter, another tough Georgian fighter. I know he's hungry right now after losing that fight about 4 months ago. You know, we talked about his grappling. Well, Scott Holtzman's a guy that is very solid with the wrestling as well. This is a guy that can stuff the takedown. This is a guy that can take you down. Although I think I'm gonna edge Gamrot with the grappling, even though, you know, saying all that, but I do think Holtzman's capable for sure. Holtzman does carry good power in his hands. He's a decent striker. 37 years old now. Gotta keep an eye on that. You know, he's getting up there in age, where you got Mateusz at 30 years old, training with the American Top Team. Pretty much, he's probably as hungry as he's ever been in his career. Actually, I feel pretty confident saying that. You know, after being 17-0, tasting that loss for the first time, I think he's very hungry. If you watch the training videos, you know, over at American Top Team, this guy is really putting in work, and you know, the sky's the limit for this kid. I think he's gonna bounce back here with the victory. You know, I'm kind of leaning that way. We take a look at the live line, and we got Mateusz Gamrot right around a -235. So yeah, the line may be a little bit high in my opinion. You know, like I said, Scott Holtzman's a very capable fighter, but you know, he's getting up there in age, and I got to go Gamrot to bounce back with the victory after that loss there. So you know, that's the route I'm going. I think Gamrot, even if he doesn't get the takedown and whatnot, I think that he'll be a little bit quicker on the feet and can kind of just overall edge this fight out here. All right. We talked about guys that have been on MMA Live Discussion. Joe Solecki, one of the more talented fighters I had the pleasure of speaking with, taking on the legend Jim Miller. We talked about Jim Miller. It was funny, if you run it back, we actually talked about Jim Miller. We talked about all types of stuff. Joe Solecki is a really down-to-earth, cool dude with a world full of potential. This guy has the potential to be a champion, in my opinion. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be the champion or whatever, but I'm just saying this is the type of guy that has the potential. This guy is a nasty grappler. His striking is coming around. He goes in there and he's pulling off finishes and pulling off things that not a lot of guys do. So this is a big fight for him. He goes in there. He's going to take out a guy like Jim Miller that has so much experience. He's a legend in the game. I just don't think that Jim's going to be ready for you know, a fresh Joe Solecki that's creeping up to the prime of his skill set, where Jim Miller's 37 years old, creeping up on 38, but still hanging around and still a very dangerous fighter. We saw him take out Roosevelt Roberts with that armbar. Although that ain't happening in this fight. Joe Solecki's very, he's very polished up there on the ground. That ain't happening. Roosevelt Roberts is a guy that makes mental errors all the time. Vince Pichel took out Jim Miller in his last fight. Before that, he lost to Scott Holtzman. We talked about Scotty there before. Finished Clay Guida before that. Took out Jason Gonzalez. So Jim Miller, as of recently, even if you go back a little bit further, he was taking out a lot of these young up-and-comers that are trying to make a name for themselves. I think that Joe Solecki is just a little bit different than those other guys. Joe Solecki's a guy that has some real potential. Training at Salty Dog Jiu-Jitsu. With the man right here, John Salter, who's been tearing up Bellator. I like everything that Joe Solecki stands for. I like everything that this guy's about. A family man, very talented fighter, an absolute savage, a killer on the mats. And I got Joe Solecki here. And even though you guys know I got a world of respect for Jim Miller, I'm a big fan of his. And I don't think this is the fight for him here. I think things are going to slow down a little bit for him. And he's about a 2-1 underdog there. So that sounds about right. In the next fight, we got a barn burner. I'm sure a lot of you guys are most excited for this fight compared to any of the other fights in the card. Mike Perry taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Two brawlers, two guys that like to stand and bang it out. Mike Perry, man, what do I need to say about Mike Perry that you guys don't already know? You guys know the deal with Mike. Mike has nasty knockout power. And even though Mike Perry's been losing, a lot of fights as of recently, he's in there fighting the best fighters in the world for the most part. The Vincent Luque fight showed to have amazing heart in that fight, even though he lost, had his nose broken. Luque's the man. Lost to Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal is a guy that's knocking on the door over there towards the belt. Took out Mickey Gall. Showed some grappling and some wrinkles in his game, and then lost to Tim Means. But you guys know I'm very high on Tim Means as well, an underrated fighter. So Daniel Rodriguez, a guy that actually beat Tim Means, actually snatched up a neck there. So Rodriguez does have some grappling and some sub skills too, but Daniel Rodriguez likes to stand and bang it out. He's brushing shoulders with Cowboy, Joe Schilling, and all those boys over there. I know he puts in a lot of work with Joe Schilling, very talented kickboxer there. This is an awesome fight here. I'm really excited to see how this fight plays out. I think they're going to stand up and brawl it out. And you remember this fight over here where Daniel Rodriguez took out Dwight Grant. Dwight Grant wobbled Rodriguez at first before Rodriguez got his wits about and actually knocked out Dwight Grant. So I seen him wobble a little bit. If Mike Perry touches him up, don't be surprised, because these guys are going to be exchanging. Rodriguez will give Perry opportunities to crack him as well. They're going to meet. They're going to clash. Rodriguez, a little bit more of the naturally bigger man in there. Oh, man, yeah, I think I'm going to take Mike Perry. I've been back and forth on this fight right here. Rodriguez coming off the loss against Nicholas Dalby. That was actually an official play of mine. I caught him at dog odds and cash there. Not saying I'm going to have action on this fight, but I think I'm going to take Mike Perry as of right now. It can go any way. These guys are going to meet and clash, like I said. So, Mike Perry putting in some work with MMA Masters. You guys know I'm a big fan of MMA Masters, and a lot of the guys they have, moving in and out of there throughout the years, and they're a solid camp. And that's what you want to see. You want to see him settle in with the camp like that, down in Miami. I was just in Miami actually at the Marlins game, and I'm gonna take Mike Perry, but we'll see. It's a fight it's gonna be fireworks. Don't be surprised if anything happens in that fight, as far as two guys knuckling up and somebody getting cracked and finished or whatnot. Rodriguez has good head movement, and he dips his head nice, keeps his head moving, and he'll tag you up. Really excited for that fight right there, man. All right, in the next fight, we got Nina Ansaroff, I believe the wife of Amanda Nunes, and she's taking on Mackenzie Dern. Don't know if Nunes is going to be a little bit jealous stepping in there with Mackenzie Dern. Obviously, Dern is a girl a lot of people like to keep an eye on, like to watch. A very talented jiu-jitsu fighter. A girl that, if you really watch her hit the pads as of recently, this girl is showing to really show evolution with her striking. She's a tough chick. And, she continuously keeps winning these fights. Besides the one loss to Amanda Ribas, I saw that fight live. Amanda Ribas is very talented. She's bounced back with 3 victories in a row. Granted, A lot of these girls made some stupid mistakes, getting subbed up early. But, you know, the Verna fight, she looked very good in that fight. She could pull the sub off at any given time. She's going to be, you know, only an inch shorter, only a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So even though, you know, Nina's known for having a nice frame for the division and whatnot, it's nothing too crazy here. Nina, the judokian, you know, this is a girl that has some judo experience. This girl's been training with the best female mixed martial arts fighter, at least 1A, 1B with Valentina Shevchenko. And so one of the best fighters in the world, obviously training, you know, more closely than just about any two fighters can be. I mean, obviously, you know, being married. Nina's solid too. You know, Nina went on a little run where she was trying to push for her own little argument for getting up there for, you know, fighting for the gold. And, you know, had that loss against Tatiana Suarez, who's probably the uncrowned queen. You know, she's just an absolute stud, is Tatiana Suarez. The wrestling, the grappling, the overall game is nice. So, I think I'm going to take Mackenzie Dern to win this fight. You know, Nina Ansaroff, you know what? The last time Nina stepped into the cage was about almost 2 years ago. You know, well, Mackenzie Dern's been active. You know, she's been fighting a lot of times since that time frame. And I think that her skills are really evolving. Only 28 years old. Like I said, the striking's coming around as well. And, yeah, you see Nina over there getting cornered by Amanda. I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern. I'm going to take Mackenzie Dern. I think Mackenzie Dern may be able to pull off, you know, a quick submission somehow, you know, one way or another with the heel hooks and all the crazy stuff. But I think that she's also going to show that she's tough with the striking, and she's going to keep evolving, and she'll keep it close there too. And it's going to be a really close fight. Wouldn't be surprised if Nina shows up and is just, you know, able to control Mackenzie against the cage and kind of stifle her and win a decision there as well. Keep an eye on that. But I'm going to take Dern right there. But it is a close fight. All right, we got 3 more fights. Sam Alvey taking on Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez. You know, Julian had an epic comeback against Maki Pitolo, but let's not forget he was losing the whole beginning of that fight. Did not look good in the beginning rounds, but you got to love the heart. You got to love the desire to win. Julian's a stout dude. You know, he's pretty polished up with the takedown defense and the grappling, and he has power. We've seen him knock dudes out. We've seen the heart. We've seen him get late finishes before. We saw it on Dana White's Contender Series where he knocked out a guy that really has a lot of hype right now still, Phil Haas. So, you know, this guy doesn't stay that active, though. Really doesn't stay that active, and stepping back in there now, he's taking the guy in Sam Alvey that's always down for a scrap, but it's been losing like crazy. But you guys know as good as I do, if you step into a counter hook from Alvey, you know, it will hurt you, will put you out possibly too. So, but Marquez has a granite chin for the most part. Lost that split decision to Alessio De Chirico. Alvey's going to have the 4-inch reach advantage. You know, this is a tricky fight in my opinion. I think that Alvey may be live here. I think the line is a little off, minus 190. Let's see what the live line is on this fight. You know, they don't put these fights in order, of course, so you got to track them down. But yeah, yeah, it's still right around the same. Some of the lines are creeping up to minus 200. You know, I'm not sure why anyone would be too confident on Julian or too confident in Julian after seeing how he'll have you biting your nails the entire fight there, getting picked apart a little bit. Sam Alvey is very accurate with the counter shots and the jab and whatnot. Great takedown defense. I think he could really give Julian a tough time in there, but I do think that Julian may edge this out, but I'm going to pick Sam Alvey to win the fight here. I'm going to take the dog, Sam Alvey. Smiling Sam. He's an awesome dude, too. I've talked to him a bit on Instagram, and he's ready to do an interview at any time, too. So in the next season of MMA Live Discussion, we'll for sure have him on. He's a really cool dude. And actually, I think we'll do it on a Saturday afternoon before an event because he's free on Saturdays, and that's when I'll probably be hitting him up. So you guys can catch that on Instagram. And, yeah, as we creep up into these last couple fights, man, like I said, you know, 5 out of 6 plays hit in the last card. I'm expecting this event to be very, very big. There's some solid plays here. And if you guys are interested, reach out to me through my email, MMAfortuneteller@gmail.com. Shoot me a DM on Instagram, MMAfortuneteller_. or if you only have Twitter and you can't get me through the other avenues, the MMA Teller. And let's make some money, boys. We got Arnold Almighty Allen taking on Sodiq Yusuff. A guy that really made his name on Dana White's Contender Series, but since then has just been going in there and just showing that he's made of steel, and his striking is nasty leg kicks, nasty counter punches. Good luck getting him down to the mat. He has good takedown defense. He's a solid fighter, tough Nigerian fighter. You know how the Nigerians been doing things, man. They really know how to scrap it up in the cage. Arnold Allen, you know, some of the best hope coming out of the England mixed martial arts fight scene right now. This is a guy 16-1. You know, they've been taking their time with him, but he's been showing up, you know, taking guys out. Got the win over Jordan Rinaldi, tough grappling type of fighter. Took out Gilbert Melendez. Gilbert was, you know, past his prime for sure. And then took out Nick Lentz. So this is kind of a step up over here against Sodiq. Sodiq doesn't play around. Coming off a victory against Andre Fili. We know how tough Fili is. The Gabriel Benitez knockout. He was losing the beginning of that fight, if you guys remember. So he was getting outpointed there. Finally, he hit him with the knockout. So keep an eye on that as well. You know, he was getting pieced up a little bit. Maybe Arnold Allen is able to touch him up a little bit on the feet. You know, keep an eye on that. Arnold Allen, a very well-rounded fighter as well. Both these guys, very well-rounded. I expect Sodiq to try to keep this fight standing and try to use the nasty leg kicks and use the power shots with his hands. But I don't know, man. Arnold Allen's a guy that's been looking good. But this is a step up too, so it's a tricky fight here. This is a tricky fight. I've been back and forth on this fight. I'm kind of leaning Arnold Allen though, even though he's a slight dog here. You know, I think there's more value on him for sure at plus 120, or you got Sodiq at that minus 140 range. This is a tough fight here. Not saying I'm crazy about this fight betting either way, but you see some of the guys that he has in his corner here. For us, Zahabi, you know he's getting some solid training there. And I think I'm going to take Arnold Allen. I've been back and forth on who I was going to take in that fight, and but would not be surprised in the least bit if Super Sodiq shows up and just, you know, is the guy that's quicker to the punch and just a little bit more powerful. You know, if you want to run the tape back to Sodiq's last loss, it was against Luis Gomez back in Titan FC, where he was finished there. So the Mike Davis fight really stood out there. And yeah, I'm going to take Arnold Allen though. I think that I think Arnold has the potential to use his overall game to edge out a fight here, keep the fight standing. Maybe he can be a little bit more crisp, a little bit more active. It's a close fight though. All right, we made it to the main event. Here we go, boys. Kevin Holland taking on Marvin Vettori. I think, you know, a lot of you guys that know my style, you guys know which way I'm leaning for sure. Marvin Vettori, a guy we've been cashing money in a lot recently. You know, official plays against Jack Hermanson, Carl Robertson, Andrew Sanchez. You know, so this is a guy that we've been rolling with. This is a guy, you know, I remember laughing. People were high on Carl Robertson, and I was all over Marvin here. And I told you guys, run the tape back, I said, Marvin Vettori is so much more than just a striker, man. This guy is very polished. He takes the fight game so serious. His grappling is very underrated. His jiu-jitsu game is very underrated. The striking is nasty. You know, this is a guy that gave, you know, fits to Israel Adesanya on the feet in a way. You know, not, whether you want to say he won the fight or not, I'm not saying that. You know, Izzy won that fight, but you don't see a lot of guys giving, you know, Izzy a battle like that on the feet, you know, the way Marvin did. And, you know, that was a long time ago too, man. Marvin's only 27 years old. Yeah, Kevin Holland's young too. Kevin Holland coming off, you know, a horrible fight where, you know, once again, he showed that he has, you know, issues with the takedown. With the takedown defense, you know what I mean? We saw Darren Stewart take him down and smash him up in that third round too. You know, and I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of him and his talking and whatnot. I'm actually a big fan of Kevin Holland. So, you know, I like how he has that lackadaisical, he doesn't give a damn type of attitude. And if you don't like the fact that he talks, then, you know, don't watch. He's going to keep talking. I enjoy it. I want to see a little bit more urgency though with the get up game and the takedown defense, working on that, because I think he has, you know, a lot of potential to be a star in the game. But you know, he has some good jiu-jitsu skills too, but you know, he's too comfortable on his back, and it's just it's a major red flag. Marvin Vettori will take him down in this fight, and will smash Holland a lot more than we saw an older tired Derek Brunson do. I'm telling you right now, Marvin Vettori will be dropping nasty elbows, and he will be continuously dropping them throughout the entire fight. I'm telling you guys right now, this dude is so polished and so professional. He's going to be in phenomenal shape for this fight. Was training for Darren Till. You know, he's pushing for a shot at the title. He's not messing around. And there's a reason why people are, they're on to the line, the live line. Marvin Vettori, right around -320. You see the movement too. I was on Marvin Vettori against Darren Till. I was on Marvin Vettori against almost anybody in the division right now. I'm letting you guys know that right now. So, shout out to Derek Brunson there too, man. What a big win for him. So Kevin Holland's gonna have a 7-inch reach. Doesn't really mean much. He's gonna have that reach against a lot of people in the division. We see that 3-inch height advantage. This is a guy that can't even hit the 185 or the 186 mark. This is a guy, as tall as he is, this guy is very light. Marvin Vettori is a solid dude. He's cutting weight. He's a solid, thick dude that's going to get in on your hips. He's going to take you down. He's going to smash you up. If you want to sit there and strike with him, he'll counter you up nice too. Now, I will say this. If Marvin does get a little bit comfortable with the striking and they start to, really engage on the feet, Kevin Holland can knock out anybody too. It takes one shot from him and he will hurt you. He'll shut your lights out. So that could happen too. All right. Couple of things I want to run you guys through real quick before I let you go. Catch me on Instagram. Like I said, we'll be doing the live interviews again in a couple of weeks. We'll have a couple guys ready to go, and we'll set that up, and we'll string off those for a couple of weeks. Catch me on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. Please do hit me with a follow over there. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. Please like this video, man. If you guys hung around with me all the way to the end of this video, please hit the like button. You guys know you're like family to me. I appreciate all you guys. I always say this, and I'll say it again. Anytime I got a couple extra seconds here, a couple minutes, man. Much respect, and I appreciate all you guys, man, that support the channel and that are tuning in. And obviously, you guys are all fight fans, so we got something in common. Hope everything is going good for you guys. I hope life's good. As we kind of transition back to a norm. We got the UFC events coming back. I'm going to start hitting up these UFC events very, very soon here. So you guys can expect that. I'm not going to be going to the one in Jacksonville, but I'm going to be starting to go to a lot of these events. There's going to be a lot of events in Florida, and with only certain states being able to do them, and obviously they're not going to be doing them everywhere with what's going on. So keep an eye on that. I'll give you guys some excellent content there. What else? That's about it, boys and girls. Shout out to all you guys, and on that note, signing out, the Teller. The MMA Fortune Teller.
The Teller.